Hey y'all, welcome to the Quackery. I'm a local Taylor resident doing my best to break down what's happening in our city government in a clear, accessible, and no nonsense way. From council meetings to board decisions to all the fine print in between, I'm here to translate it into plain language so you always know what's going on in your own backyard. Let's dive in. The Taylor City Council will be meeting on December 11th at 6 o'clock in the evening over at City Hall Council Chambers at 400 Porter Street. Let's walk through what's on the agenda and what the council will be taking up. After the recognitions and citizens' communication, the council moves into the consent agenda, where the city typically places routine items that can be approved with one vote. But each one still carries real meaning, so we're going to take them apart to show exactly what the city is agreeing to. The first item asks the council to approve the minutes from the November 13th meeting, which is a state required step in keeping the public record accurate. After that, they consider whether to adopt an updated project and financing plan for Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2, better known as TRS Number 2. This update reflects changes in the map, like removing the Lindy site, along with updated costs and projection tied to economic development in that zone. It's connected to long-term agreements with Samsung, and it recalibrates how future tax increments in that district are expected to be collected and reinvested. The consent agenda then shifts to a proposed neighborhood plan called Taylor Apartments, covering a little over 21 acres at 3601 North Main Street. This plan outlines what types of housing and land use the city is willing to allow there and whether it fits with the surrounding area. Immediately after that, the council looks at amendments to the fiscal year 2026 annual budget, adjusting city spending and revenue projections now that more information is available mid-year. The next two items relate to the Kimbrough Shaw to 2nd Street drainage improvements, a hazard mitigation project funded through a federal grant. The city is considering contracting with Langford Community Services to manage the administrative side of the grant, reporting, compliance, reimbursement, and then approving an engineering services agreement with HDR to lay out the technical designs for the drainage system itself. The council then considers approval to purchase a cascade and rescue truck for the fire department, which gives first responders the ability to refill breathing air tanks on emergency scenes and enhances the department's capacity during rescue operations. And to round out the consent agenda, the council looks at an amendment to its easement and right-of-way agreement with Encore Electric Delivery, updating a previously approved arrangement and authorizing a mayor to sign the revised document. Once the consent agenda is finished, the council moves into public hearings and ordinances. The first hearing is for a home-based pediatric therapy practice seeking a special use permit on Davis Street. When that wraps up, the council hears another special use permit request, this one for a short-term rental without a full-time on-site operator on Don Hill Lane. After that comes the item that has drawn widespread attention in the community, Project Comal. Project Comal is a proposed data center development covering roughly 220 acres off County Road 401. Residents have raised serious concerns about the scale of the facility, the strain it may put on electricity and water resources, the environmental impacts, the noise, the lighting, the industrial intensity of the use, and its proximity to established neighborhoods. The hearing on this item was supposed to introduce the Employment Center Plan, the document that would spell out how the site could be developed. But the applicant has requested a postponement, and the city knows it currently has no additional information to provide. As soon as this item reappears on a future agenda, the Quackery will cover it and break down whatever new material is released. With Project Comal postponed, the council shifts into the regular agenda, beginning with the formation of the Charter Review Committee. This is a major governance step. The city charter functions as Taylor's constitution, setting up the powers of the city manager, the duties of the mayor and council, and the underlying rules for elections, debt, transparency, and how the city operates. The council will formally seat the first choice nominees submitted by each council member and the mayor: Jim Boozin, Betty Day, Terry Williams, Christine Lopez, and John McDonald. Then they'll select two at-large members from the pool of second choice candidates: Stan Werner, Peter Bryan, Jackie Kruger, Richard Stone, and John Harper. Once formed, this committee will meet throughout the first half of 2026 to review the entire charter and prepare recommendations for amendments that could go before voters in November 2026. Their work could reshape how the city functions for decades to come. Once the Charter Review Committee is set, the council turns its attention back to development, this time through the financial and administrative framework surrounding the Park 79 Commerce Public Improvement District. First, the council considers an agreement with the Williamson County Tax Office to handle the annual billing and collection of PID assessments, which will eventually appear as part of the regular property tax bill once the Service and Assessment Plan is adopted. The idea is to ensure accuracy, efficiency, and fewer delinquencies by consolidating the process within the county's established tax system. Then the council takes up a more complex partnership, an acquisition and reimbursement agreement, and a developer deposit agreement with Taylor 79 LLC and Park 79 Commerce Center LLC. These agreements establish how roadway improvements, water and wastewater extensions, and other infrastructure in the PID will be financed and reimbursed. The developer is responsible for fronting the cost of improvements, while the city defines the path for paying back those costs, either through future PID bonds or through parcel assessments. The developer must also deposit $50,000 into escrow to cover the city's administrative work until the Service and Assessment Plan is complete, ensuring the city does not shoulder early costs for private development. After handling the PID agreements, the council turns to one of the largest and most consequential items of the night, the Compal USA Technology Incentive Package, which is split across two agenda items, a 10-year tax abatement agreement and a separate economic development incentive agreement. Compal is a major global electronics manufacturer, intending to operate out of the Taylorport building on FM 334 and 9. The company plans to invest approximately $200 million in the facility, equipment, and improvements, and claims it will bring about 900 jobs to Taylor. Their operations would include manufacturing and assembly of servers, desktop and laptop computers, motherboards, graphics components, cable modems, smartphones, gaming systems, automotive electronics, and smart home devices. In return for choosing Taylor, the city is proposing a substantial incentive package. Under the tax abatement, the city would reduce 50% of the taxable value of Compal's real property improvements and 50% of the value of their personal property, including their high-value manufacturing equipment, for 10 full years. The city estimates the real property tax savings at more than $2.7 million and the personal property abatement at over $1.4 million, bringing the total value of foregone property tax revenue to more than $4 million. The second half of the incentive package comes through the Economic Development Incentive Agreement, under which the city and the TDC would rebate half of the city's sales and use tax and half of the TDC's half-cent sales tax collected on construction materials, equipment, furniture, and fixtures purchased for the facility. This rebate is estimated at around $213,000. The agreement stresses that payments are performance-based, meaning the company must meet its commitments before the rebates are issued. It also includes clawback revisions requiring Compal to repay all benefits with interest if they fall short or terminate the agreement. These incentives follow a pattern seen repeatedly in Taylor's recent economic development strategy: significant tax relief granted upfront to large corporations in exchange for promised capital investment and job creation. Some residents argued that this is necessary to attract major employers, while others note that Taylor has repeatedly granted multi-million-dollar abatements, including to Samsung, Good Sky, Soulbrain, and others, without equivalent investments in local infrastructure, workforce development, or affordability measures. And although clawbacks exist on paper, they activate only after the damage is done. If the company underperforms, the city must pursue repayment, which is not always guaranteed or straightforward. As for whether this agreement represents a fair deal, that depends on perspective. Supporters will point to job numbers and long-term economic growth, while critics may view it as another example of the city weakening its tax base to subsidize large manufacturers at a time when residents are pushing for stronger public investment. Once the council finishes with the Compal agreements, the meeting concludes with several executive session items involving property negotiations, legal discussions, and economic development matters the city cannot legally discuss in public. After that, the council reconvenes in open session, takes any final actions, and adjourns. So that's everything coming before the Taylor City Council at their upcoming meeting. They'll be gathering on Thursday, December 11th at 6:00 in the evening inside City Hall Council Chambers at 400 Porter Street. If any of these items affect you, your neighborhood, or the future of our city, this is your chance to show up, listen in, or speak during citizens' communication and make your voice part of the public record. Thanks so much for watching the Quackery and staying engaged with what's happening here in Taylor. Your time, attention, and curiosity truly matter. Local government works best when all of us are paying attention. More ducks in the pond, more voices in the conversation.